The Yamaha YZF-R1, or A1, is an open-class sport bike, or superbike, motorcycle manufactured by Yamaha Motor Company since 1998. 1998 to Euro 1999, Yamaha launched the YZF-R1 after redesigning the Genesis engine to offset the crankshaft, gearbox input, and output shafts. This compacting of the engine made the total engine length much shorter. This allowed the wheelbase to be shortened significantly, resulting in much quicker handling and an optimized center of gravity. The bike had a compression ratio of 11.8 to 1 with a 6-speed transmission and multi-plate clutch. Early models were subject to a worldwide recall for a clutch problem. Yamaha today describes the launch of the A1 as the true value of Kando. The 1999 A1 saw only minor changes, apart from paint and graphics. Notable improvements were a redesigned gear change linkage and the gear change shaft length being increased. Fuel tank reserve capacity was reduced from 5.5 to 4.0 liters, while the total fuel tank capacity was unchanged at 18 AL. A second worldwide recall was issued for 1998 and early 1999 models, to change a coolant hose clamp under the fuel tank which could come loose under hard use. Motorcycle Consumer News tests of the 1998 model year YZF-R1 yielded a 0 to 60 mph time of 2.96 seconds and 0 to 100 mph of 5.93 seconds, a 1-4 mile time of 10.19 seconds at 131.40 mph, and a top speed of 168 mph, with deceleration from 60 to 0 mph of 113.9 ft. For the 1999 model year, Cycle World tests found a 0 to 60 mph time of 3.0 seconds, 1-4 mile time of 10.31 seconds at 139.55 mph, and a top speed of 170 mph. 2000 to Euro 2001. In 2000, Yamaha introduced a series of changes to improve the bike, and minor changes to the bodywork to allow for better long-duration ride handling. Yamaha's main design goal was to sharpen the pre-existing bike and not to redesign it. Even so, they instituted over 150 changes in hopes of making an already light, sleek motorcycle even lighter and sleeker. For example, even with the addition of the new air induction system, which weighed 4 pounds, the overall weight of the bike was down 5 pounds to 414 pounds dry. At 127.8 horsepower at the rear wheel, top-end output remained the same, but changes to the engine management system were intended to result in a smoother, broader distribution of power. The bodywork was still unmistakably a 1, although a few changes were made resulting in a 3% reduction in the drag coefficient. The headlight housing's profile was sharpened, the side panels were made more aerodynamic and slippery, and the windscreen was reshaped for better rider protection. The seating area was also updated. The fuel tank was reshaped, with a more relaxed rear angle and deeper leg recesses to provide for a better rider feel. The seat extended further towards the front of the tank and the new, steeper, seating position put additional weight on the front end. All of this was aimed at improving weight bias and offering sharper cornering and more stability. Mechanically, the carburetors were rejetted in an effort to improve throttle response, especially in the low end, all the way up to the bike's 11,750 rpm readline. The redesigned camshafts were lightened and used internal oilways to lubricate journals that, when combined with reduced tappet clearance, provided less friction and created less engine noise. The gearbox received a taller first gear, a hollow chrome molly-shift shaft with an additional bearing and a completely redesigned shift linkage and foot pedal. These changes were aimed at eliminating problems with the transmission in earlier models, and to help to seamlessly transfer the bike's power to the road. 2002 to Euro 2003. A new fuel injection system was introduced for the 2002 year, which worked like a carburetor by employing a CV carburetor slide controlled by vacuum created by the engine. With a similar power output to the 2000 to 2001 bike, the engine remained largely the same. One notable improvement was the use of new cylinder sleeves of a high silicon content alloy containing magnesium that minimized heat-induced distortion, reducing oil consumption. Also in 2002, Yamaha released the newly developed DeltaBox 3 frame, which, with its hydroformed construction, reduced the total number of frame welds. These changes improved the frame's rigidity by 30%. The cooling system was redesigned for better performance and compactness. The exhaust system was changed from a 4x1 to a new titanium 4x2x1 design. The rear end of the motorcycle was updated and streamlined with the LED taillight. This allowed for very clean rear body lines when choosing one of several common aftermarket modifications, such as removal of the turn signal stalks and stock license plate bracket, and replacing them with assorted available replacements that hug the body or frame. Also, front-end lighting was improved in 2002, between the higher definition headlights and also side parking lights within the twin headlight panel, giving a more angular appearance. This also gave additional aftermarket possibilities, such as to remove the front turn signals and use these front lights as directional or hazard markers while stopped. For 2003, the only change was fitted hazard warning lights and dipped headlights, which stay on all the time the engine is running. In 2002, Cycle World reported fuel mileage of 38 miles per US gallon, a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 2.9 seconds, a 1-4 mile time of 10.32 seconds at 137.60 miles per hour, and a top speed of 167 miles per hour. 2004 – 2005. With the competition advancing, Yamaha made some major changes to the model. This included style updates, like an under-seat twin exhaust, and performance upgrades including radial brakes, and, for the first time, an R1 ram air intake. Furthermore, the tendency for wheelies by earlier productions was reduced by changing the geometry of the frame and weight distribution. The all-new engine was no longer used as a stressed member of the chassis, and had a separate top crankcase and cylinder block. The 2004 R1 weighs 172 kilograms dry. The conventional front brake calipers were replaced by radially mounted calipers, activated by a radial master cylinder. A factory-installed steering damper was also added this year. Combined with the changes to the frame, this helped to eliminate the tendency of the handlebars to shake violently during rapid acceleration or deceleration on less than perfect surfaces, a phenomenon known as a speed wobble or tank slapper. Motorcycle Consumer News tests of the 2004 model year YZF-R1 yielded a 0 to 60 mph time of 3.04 seconds and 0 to 100 mph of 5.42 seconds, a quarter-mile time of 9.90 seconds at 144.98 mph, and a top speed of 179 mph. 2006. For 2006, the swing arm was extended by 20 mm to reduce acceleration instability. In this year, Yamaha also released a limited edition version in original Yamaha racing colors to celebrate its 50th anniversary. The model had a Kenny Roberts front and rear custom lens suspension units developed by the same team as the YZF-R1 MotoGP bike. Custom-forged aluminum March Cini wheels specifically designed for the LE shaved nearly a pound off the unsprung weight. A back torque limiting slipper clutch, and an integrated lap timer rounded out the package, making the LE virtually a production racer. Only 500 units were made for the United States with another 500 units for Europe. 2007 – 2008. An all-new YZF-R1 for the 2007 model year was announced on October 8, 2006. It had an all-new inline four-cylinder engine, going back to a more conventional 4 valves per cylinder, rather than Yamaha's trademark 5-valve Genesis layout. It also had the Yamaha chip control intake electronic variable length intake funnel system, Yamaha chip control throttle fly-by-wire throttle system, slipper-type clutch, all-new aluminum DeltaBox frame and swing arm, 6-piston radial mount front brake calipers with 310 ohm discs, a wider radiator, and M1 styling on the new large ram air ports in the front fairing. There were no major changes for 2008. Power was 152.9 horsepower at 10,160 lpm. Motorcycle Consumer News tests of the 2007 model year YZF-R1 yielded a 0 to 60 mph time of 2.94 seconds and 0 to 100 mph of 5.46 seconds, a 1/4 mile time of 9.88 seconds at 145.50 mph. 2009 Euro 2014. In late 2008, Yamaha announced they would release an all-new R1 for 2009. The new R1 takes engine technology from the M1 MotoGP bike with its crossplane crankshaft. Crossplane technology puts each connecting rod 90 degree from the next, with an uneven firing interval of 270 degree-180 degree-90 degree-180 degree. Yamaha claims the bike would give the rider two engines in one, the low-end torque of a twin and the pace of an inline-four. As with previous incarnations of the R1, the 2009 model keeps its Yamaha chip-controlled throttle. Another advancement included on the 2009 model was D-mode throttle control valve mapping, which allows a rider to choose between three distinct maps depending on the rider a Euro 1 registered trademark S environment. Each mode of operation controls YCCT characteristics, changing how the R1 reacts to rider input. The first mode is Standard Mode, which delivers performance for a wide variety of driving conditions. The second mode is A mode, which will give a rider more available power in the lower to mid RPM range. The third mode is B mode, which is a dial back of the previous mode, designed to soften throttle response in inclement weather and heavy traffic. D-mode throttle control is controlled by the rider through a forward mode button near the throttle. The instrument panel is more comprehensive than previous models, and the 2009/2010 Yamaha YZF-R1 model had a gear indicator as standard. Overall handling of the R1 was improved through changes to frame and suspension. A new subframe was designed for the 2009 R1, cast from magnesium, giving lower weight aiding mass centralization. The rear shock absorber on the 2009 offers variable speed damping, as well as an easy-to-tweak preload via a screw adjustment. The rear shock now connects underneath the swing arm through a different linkage. A change from previous year's models. To improve overall handling and safety, Yamaha included an electronic steering damper. The front has the same classic R1 shape, though the air intake location and headlamp design have been revamped on the 2009 model. Using only projector lamps, and using the newfound design space within the nose cone to reroute ram air tubes next to the lights. Testing the 2010 model year in the confines of a tri-oval racetrack, Motorcyclist magazine reported a 4-mile time of 10.02 seconds at 144.23 mph, and fuel consumption of 25 miles per US gallon. Motorcycle Consumer News reported a tested top speed of 176.7 mph. In 2011, the 2011 has a new front design and some other minor change. In 2012 the Yamaha YZF-R1 received the traction control and a special copyright edition Yamaha YZF-R1 50th copyright edition was released. The special edition color is inspired from Assen TT winning MotoGP bike. The special edition commemorate the participation of Yamaha in MotoGP. Specifications, including oil and full fuel tank, references. External links. Official sites for Europe and the US, R1 reviews for all models since 1998 by Motorcycle News, Yamaha YZF-R1.